And this is Dagger Mastery Feats, needs balance.
So we already have some framework to work with.
Right off the bat.
Hello, travelers. Welcome to the Copper Fox Inn. Come on in, take a seat, and join us as we discuss Homebrew for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. And that was so smooth. That was like, those 18
buttery.
Those 18 takes that we had to not use were great practice for me. Thanks, guys.
We just need a whole side quest episode that is all of our botched intros.
Just all in a row.
Yike.
I'm Thomas the Human Bard. I'll be hosting this week. I am joined by
Mercy the Tiefling Wizard.
gestures to other side of the table.
Bean the Rock Gnome Rogue.
And Onog the half-orc barbarian.
And notice he said adjoined, as in we are now all connected at the hip.
Yeah.
Yes.
We need to remove curse immediately.
It has
Yeah,
been
it's
very
horrible.
difficult to make pants happen in any kind of way.
Yeah.
We just have one large pant.
But just whoever makes
This is
pants
called
for
a skirt.
octopus.
It's a very large
yeah.
skirt.
One pant that fits over both of your legs is a skirt.
What?
No. It's a tube bottom. You know, like there's tube tops.
A tube bottom.
That's just a skirt shirt.
Oh boy.
Tube tops are skirt shirts.
Skirt
No.
shirts.
A pant shirt it's one big old pant that comes up your body and it also covers your shoulders.
Yeah, a dress is a body pant. But if it has
Pants
sleeves,
are the
it's
shoes
a
of the legs.
pant.
We already did
wait,
this.
Wait. If it has sleeves, then that just has pants for your arms connected to the singular pant for your body.
I'm talking
No.
like at the top it has a zipper and a button like pants do. But it just goes over your shoulders.
Well, welcome everybody. On this show, if you can't tell already, what we do is we look at homebrew that we've discovered in these ancient tomes and scrolls that we have in front of us, and we share them with each other and we discuss them. We are particularly interested in unique or ridiculous homebrews. If it's just actually useful, it might not show up on the show. I'll be real.
Yeah, very.
Let's all jovially laugh together. Ready?
No, we're done. We stopped.
Sorry.
Tasha.
R.I.P.
Tasha, stop it.
R.I.P. headphone users.
Well, let's get started off this episode with our magic item of the week. Deep boop 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 ba-da-doo.
Thank you for that inspiration you gave me from that song that you played.
I got a little help from Onog. He gave me like a,
Actually,
was it a
that was
cymbal
Bean.
crash.
That was me.
Oh, that was Bean.
Yeah.
It sounded like Onog.
I can get that
Interesting.
bass sometimes.
I think you have the actor feat and you can sound like Onog.
Oh, I
Yep.
both show have the actor feat. Hello, I am not laughing and I'm grumpy at all of you.
So I have brought today, I found in my travels, let me get this out of my bag of holding here, and plunk, as me setting it down on the table here, I brought the Dogstaff.
Wait, did you bring the staff or just a scroll that talks?
No,
about
I
it?
brought the Dogstaff,
In
and
canon,
I'm gonna
you have
tell
it
you
now.
about it.
Okay, tell me.
Yeah,
Give it to
I
me.
brought it here.
Now we have a sort of Antiques Roadshow section where it spins around on a little table, lazy boy,
yeah,
and
listen,
you discuss
listen
it.
to the sound of it on the table here.
What is that?
That's the
very
dog
wet
staff
sounding.
on the table.
That sounds like the dog is licking something up.
All right, so Mercy, what's
Which
this
is-
dog staff?
it's
and what's it
weird.
do?
Let me tell you about the Dogstaff. This staff is infused with the spirits of loyal dogs that died serving their masters. We'll have a moment of mourning. Everyone get out your sorrowful wails.
No.
Wait, I
What
thought
about
we
my
did that.
sorrowful dolphins?
Those gotta stay.
My sorrowful porpoise.
So the Dogstaff can be wielded as a magic quarterstaff that grants a +2 to attack and damage rolls made with it. This weapon is sentient. It barks every time you cast a spell with it.
Why am I hitting people with a dog?
I know.
Yeah,
right?
especially if it's infused with the spirits of dead dogs and now you're smacking people with it.
Yeah, and it's
it is
sentient and
it is aware of all of this.
I think that's why it like helps you out. Like it's like biting people as you're like hitting them with it, which is why you get the +2.
Okay.
interesting.
Yeah. It's got little hands, so maybe
Yep.
it's like scratching them. The Dogstaff translates your words into dog speech when talking to dogs.
Is that a thing?
Yes,
New
it-
mechanic
it's
dog
It's
speech.
like deep speech, but for dogs.
Only true dog lovers can wield it. Very important.
That's the requirement, the flavor
Yeah.
requirement.
Yeah, well, if you see that there, it says it's a staff, very rare. It requires attunement by a dog lover. That is mechanically required.
I
If you don't respect these dogs, they're not going to fight for you.
it might piss Onog off, but I love things where it doesn't really have an equivalent in D&D. It just is like you have to be a dog lover. And it's like, what does that mean? It just means you gotta love dogs, man.
Just gotta love dogs, dude.
I mean, there's some of that. There are magic items that are theoretically like can only be wielded by a true descendant of like the dwarf king or whatever. That's just
Yeah.
like part of its magic, you know.
Yeah.
See, I'm
So
all for
it's
it.
got
In your homebrews, add stuff that doesn't make sense, but has a nice flavor, and it will make me happy and anger most other people.
yeah, everyone at your table will hate it, but you'll keep going, what? Bean loves it.
He loves it. Oh, I neglected to say, this was created by Reddit user Catalus, ironically.
What?
Oh, not
I know, right?
Traitor!
betrayer.
Hey, you know what? This doesn't need to be a competitive thing.
Okay,
You can love
okay.
both.
Fair enough, fair
You
enough.
know? All
There is a
right.
what are
limited
the-
amount of love in
it's
my
got-
heart.
It's got 4 abilities. What are the abilities?
So we're gonna look at the abilities here. So good boy, obviously.
Of course.
Thank you.
The dog staff functions as a weapon of warning. It snarls when sensing danger. So we've got kind of a
Yikes.
Lord of the Rings-esque.
Well, weapon of warning's
what's
pretty
it
good.
called?
Sting.
Sting. I was gonna say, I was like stinger, biter, spider boy. I was like, what's the one?
Stinger,
He-
biter,
he-
spider
yeah.
boy.
He literally goes over some of those as potential names for the weapon when
I
he's
think
taunting the spider.
that's what the goblins. That's what the goblins chant
Like
at
someone,
him.
Yeah.
someone
Oh,
calls
stinger!
it biter. Yeah.
I thought that was
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
movie about the Cold War, Tinker, Tailor, Stinger, Steiger, Biter Boy,
Yeah, you-
Spy.
Stinker Steiger. Nice.
Can I redo
Cool.
that?
No.
Nope.
Nope. No, you cannot. Moving
That's
on.
the movie about the Cold War, Tinker, Tailor, Stinker, Steiger.
No,
You
too
still
bad. Too bad. Moving
Didn't
on.
get it right.
Why can't I say it? Stinger, Biter, Spy Boy.
Nope, we're not. We're
Yep.
only including it wrong. All right. So the next ability is Pack Leader. Dogs are always friendly towards you. Amazing. You can cast Speak with Animals, Command, and Animal Friendship at will, but only on dogs.
Okay. Okay.
It only works on
okay.
dogs.
Why do you need
So,
to
I mean, you
cast
know-
animal friendship if
If they're
dogs are
already
always
friendly?
friendly?
That's a good point.
Well, because doesn't
actually.
animal friendship give you?
I
It
guess
gives
it-
you like a specific.
it does
What
give
it-
benefit.
you
Animal
What is
animal
that?
friendship, I believe, specifically charms
it
the
up.
creature.
Yeah. One sec.
So if they're already friendly towards you, I don't think that actually gives.
But I think
Any
technically they're just
animal friendship.
an animal being
it-
friendly towards you means it doesn't attack you, whereas animal friendship you kind of have a level of influence over the animal.
Yeah, it's just
it can.
animal friendship just charms you for the charms the target for the duration of the spell.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, but charming them means that like they.
Yeah,
They do
They
kind
see you as a friend.
they want
and-
to do
yeah.
things for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it is a bit redundant.
I don't know. It's probably a little bit redundant.
Why are we
but
worrying about
that's
the
fine.
logistics of dog staff? Like, are
Because
we
it's
taking this
good.
seriously?
Because that's our job.
We have it. It's with us. We need to know how to use it.
Yeah.
I brought it here to the inn.
Yeah, we
Now,
don't want
question.
to.
It does
What?
and I'm gonna get a little more nitty gritty. Is that also like speak with animals on dogs only, command on dogs only? I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
I think the
that's
parentheses
implication.
apply to the others.
Yeah. So
Okay.
it only affects your relationship with doggos. I do think it's then up to sort of DM discretion of like, are wolves dogs?
Are
This is a good
foxes
question
dogs?
for the Twitter
Right.
page. Can you pet the dog? Which has an existential sort of crisis of what is a dog? Because in some games there are dog adjacent things that you can pet, and sometimes they include them, and sometimes they don't.
Right.
If
So it comes down. It starts breaking down to what is a dog, what is you, and what is pet.
If
and then
I-
if it has all of those, you can pet the dog.
if I were a DM, I would say that like it has a chance of working on a wolf or a fox, but it is probably not going to be as effective.
What about a blink dog?
Yes.
It is a dog.
That's just your good boy now. It says dog in the name.
I guess. Okay. Okay. Keep reading.
All right, fetch. So as we can see in the art here, he's got a little fetch ball in his mouth. Fetch. You can cast locate object and locate creature once each. You can't do so again until the next dawn. So once a day, it could like find something for you, which is great. I wish it could like bring them to you, but
It's
not
more
quite.
of like a pointer.
So I was
dog.
I was gonna
more of
say
a pointer dog.
I would almost rename Good Boy to be like Guard Dog and Fetch to be Point.
Yeah, that's
Not
fair.
bad, not bad,
That's
not bad.
fair. Polymorph. You can cast Polymorph on yourself to turn into a dog. Use the Mastiff template. Fair enough. You can't do so again until the next dog.
So that's
I said dog instead of dog.
Yeah, you did say dog instead of dog, but let's move past that to the more important existential philosophical question I'd like to raise. Does that mean you have to be friends with yourself?
Yeah, you actually, your self-esteem improves and you come out of it like in a better place.
Oh, that's nice.
There's also
Yeah.
a very important thing. There is a quote from a dog at the bottom of the page. The dog said, "Woof."
Yeah, which if we were to use the staff real
Who
quick
can
here,
speak animals?
well, it could translate.
Oh, Nog, aren't you a barbarian?
That takes
We
10
did this
minutes.
last
We've
episode.
talked about this.
All right, so in 10 minutes we'll come back to that.
We'll
Come back to that.
Yeah. Okay,
No.
so there it is. There's Dogstaff.
I love
like it because it's a fun, very specifically flavored item, and I love that. I think it's important in when you're DMing a game to try and include things that are memorable in their specificity because it can almost be wearing and lose its impact when everything in a campaign is like the holy great sword of the legendary hero, and like when everything is so
Hey, I heard
serious and
that.
dramatic and platonic,
Yeah.
it can almost lose its impact. And I think breaking it up with some weird, quirky, funny, memorable stuff can help make those more dramatic bits stand out. I mean, that's like a basic rule of drama, really.
It's also-
just in any sort of narrative
Yeah,
form.
the best way to answer the phone when you're sad is to start off happy, or the best way to
Yeah.
receive bad news is to receive it having just had good news.
Because then you
Then it's
further
more
to follow.
dramatic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's just a basic narrative device tip for you there, DMs.
Well, also like it is more real to life, not just quirky and fun. Life is not just full of like everything is the same in one flavor.
Yeah. You can't tell me there's no wizards in the world who aren't weird dog lovers. Like, there hasn't been a single one. Come on. At least one weird wizard has been like, I love dogs so much.
That I'm just going to make
they're so
sticks
cute.
out of them.
What if this was created by a wizard who his loyal companion died?
And it's his spirit and
it's
not
his
all
spirit,
dogs. It's just one
yeah.
spirit.
Well, because
Maybe,
that was going to be the question
that could be how
I
it
had
started.
is there only one dog staff and it has the spirit of all dogs, or is it has the spirit of some dogs, and if a new dog staff is created, does it duplicate all the spirits of all the dogs who have
Well,
ever
no,
died?
That's an inherent fallacy because, as we know, all dogs go to heaven. So
Yeah.
Well, maybe like each. What
That's
if,
in
like,
the DMG.
What if each dog staff like can be crafted with like if
Your
the
dog.
spirit like with your dog? Yeah.
But that
Like,
means
there
that
could be more
maybe
than
an
one.
evil person is going to go out and kill a dog just to make a dog staff.
But then they wouldn't
Well,
be
but
a
it
dog
can
lover.
only be. It's only infused with the spirit of loyal dogs that died serving their masters, and you have to truly love dogs to use it.
Okay, fair
enough.
it's
So
it has
all
to-
positive all around.
has to come
Okay,
from
I
a
have
good
one.
place.
Yeah.
I've got one legitimate actual critique here. I don't like that it's a quarterstaff because the it feels off.
It does
flavor.
feel weird.
So here's the cure. Here's the solution. It gains the light and throne properties and the returning property. And
okay.
you throw it at somebody, and then it like when it hits them, it deals slashing damage because it's like
Because it's
Claw.
biting them.
clawing them.
Yeah.
And then it
Sick 'em.
returns to your hand at the end of the turn
'Cause
because it like runs
fetch.
back to you.
It's
Yeah.
the Sick'em ability.
Oh
There you go. Yeah, sick 'em.
There you go.
Tear them up.
That's actually pretty good.
Another thing I was going to say, this kind of reminds me, not at all in the same way, but in one of our way early episodes, we had the Cloak of the Rat.
Mm-hmm.
And one of our
Mhm.
comments was maybe all of these abilities, just if you were just making a magic item, wouldn't make sense together, but because it's themed, it
Yeah.
makes sense to have these. And, all of these different abilities, having something that, like, warns you of danger but can also locate things and can turn you into an animal, those are all weird to have together. However, by saying, well, it's a dog, and so it's all dog-ish things, makes sense.
Yeah.
And so when you're
I think that's like a new. Oh, sorry. You go.
just when you're making like a magic item, maybe you're like, now I don't know, maybe you're just saying, I want it to be a dog-ish thing, and I'll figure out what that does. Or maybe you're like, I don't know why, but I just really, really want a magic item that can both locate objects and also warn me when there's danger, but I can't justify why it would have both of those things. So find a theme that makes those things make sense. So you're like, okay, well, dogs kind of do both of those things.
Do both.
So
Yeah.
I'll make
maybe it's a dog.
It's a dog.
staff.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of building around flavor in anything that you homebrew.
And so just because
And food.
And in food, think about flavor.
Yeah.
There's a chef tip for you.
just because of that,
Giving you all kinds of tips today.
The biggest, most secret chef tip. Think about the flavor.
Think
of
about the
food.
flavor.
see, that's convenient.
Maybe that'll help.
I thought I had to put flavor into my food, but you're telling me I just have to think about the idea of flavor while I cook, and the flavor will just
Then it
happen.
I don't know what food you're eating that you must like
Inject flavor
Well, I
into
guess
it.
that's true of some foods.
Hot Pockets.
Yeah, like just like tofu.
I
or,
meant like
rice.
adding spices of any kind to it, but you're just
No.
saying I don't need to do that. I just need to think about flavor, and I'll be fine.
Yeah.
Think about what
Yeah.
flavor could combine all the disparate elements of your meal, and then
That's
just
that's the
imagine
flavor.
that.
Just
is what it
imagine
is.
that.
Yeah.
And then you will
Yeah.
feel bad that you are not eating the thing you are thinking of.
Exactly.
Yep. Very good. I like this dog stuff a lot.
Yeah,
actually.
it's just fun and wholesome, and I like how specific it is.
I do.
I like really specific items.
I love the art, but it is also unsettling for me to look at.
Oh, it's incredibly unsettling.
What if
Well,
it's
see,
what if it was like a wiener,
I think
a wiener dog?
I was about to say that. I was about to say
The
that he should
exact
be like a
same
wiener
joke here.
dog.
We're all
Yeah.
making. We all thought of it.
yeah.
Well, or just not be a quarterstaff.
Or it could just be a quarterstaff with a dog on the top of the
What if it's-
staff instead of being stretched.
Wait,
all
do you have to
weird.
carry this, or does it just like walk on its hind legs next to you?
I think
No,
You put
guys,
it on a leash.
Guys, we keep breaking it down and making suggestions and things because you wanted it to have the light and throne property. So at that
Yeah,
point,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
no longer a quarterstaff. At that point,
boom
it
It's a
is
ball.
it is just a dachshund that you have that you just throw
You
at
just
people.
just a dachshund that you're just chucking at people.
Oh man, it's just a small boy.
You ever been so mad you hit somebody with a wiener dog?
What if? But what if, in order to honor dogs, it's not a staff; it's just a stick?
Just a stick that doesn't look like a
It
dog,
has
but
carvings
just
of
has
dogs
It has,
on
like-
the sides of it.
Yeah,
But it's just a natural tree branch
just
or
a
something
stick
that a dog
that
would
has-
bring home.
like
That's
bite
pretty
marks
good.
on it and has
Ooh.
dog carvings all over it.
That'd actually be really. That could even still be a quarterstaff with like carvings and bite marks on it, and then that could be sort of cool and mysterious when you hit someone with it, and now they have like claw marks on them.
And that keeps making barking noises even though it's a stick.
Or like the
Yeah,
carvings
I
on it
like
kind of come
that.
to life and like bite the person for a split second, and they're like, "What?"
Oh, you could flavor it like there's a Magic the Gathering character who she's like an archer who summons like ghost animals to like fight for her.
Mhm.
And it could be sort of that like an image of like a spectral dog, like for just a split second shows up and scratches and then disappears
Yeah.
again.
Yeah, I
Like-
like the idea that it's like the ghost of the dog is like scratching
As
up.
you
that's
swing
kinda-
it,
that's
it
kinda
like
cool.
runs with the stick, like you're guiding it.
Yeah.
That's
Very
pretty
cool.
sweet.
You just
I dig it.
you throw the stick at someone and you're like, it hits
I
them,
dig it.
and then a ghost dog attacks them.
I love the idea though that it like isn't even like a spectral dog, like it's all just invisible, because I like how confusing and mysterious that is when you just hear barking and you're getting like claw marks on you, but there's nothing there.
horrifying.
But also, yeah, it's cool. But then
There's
also
literally
like
an
if you
episode
ever
of Supernatural
just
about why that's
in
a
your
bad idea.
downtime.
The invisible dogs in Supernatural.
Yeah, I know. But if you like, but these are good boys. But and also if you throw the quarterstaff, it's not like a dog appears, but just it sort of then like hovers like 2 feet above the ground and like slowly comes back to you because the spirits of the dog are playing fetch with it.
You guys did step on a pun I was attempting to make about 4 times, which is, yeah, I dig this magic item, much like a dog digs up your garden.
Yep, we need to
That
take
was the
special
pun
time
we
for
stepped
that.
on.
That's my A transition to saying, Onog, what did you bring this week?
You've got the bean curse today, Thomas.
All right.
Jeez.
Well, I brought us a player race. Let's see here. It is brought to us from Reddit user sraf leftward flick.
we think.
I suspect.
Probably.
We hope.
Most likely.
And this is a playable race for Sphinxes. And which is a very interesting thing. It's another one of those branching off into non-humanoid player race. It's very monstrous. the creator talks about various things and backgrounds and different ideas. He gives them a very like Savannah Lions kind of a look in the artwork that is
as soon as I
placed
see
there.
this art, I have immediate questions about so many things for a player race.
Which is
Like you just look at this art and you go, wait.
Wait a minute.
Wait.
But we can get to that in just a moment here.
Your DM's like, no, you can't be an Aarakocra. And you're like, okay, I'll just be a Sphinx.
Yeah.
I'll be Sphinx race.
So, which is interesting because it kind of pulls off of like the original Greek myth of the Sphinx, but it's also got a very African like savanna location style to it. So it's kind of a little bit of a mixing of those different borders, but it's still a very cool idea. It talks about just various things. They're very old. They're long-lived race, and there's society. But it gets real interesting when we actually get to the actual racial traits. Your Sphinx's ability score increases are dictated by sex. So a female Sphinx, your intelligence score increases by 2, and your dexterity increases by 1. However, on a male Sphinx, your wisdom score increases by 2, and your strength score increases by 1.
That is interesting. It is one of the few monsters in the monster manual that has separate entries for male and female.
Like they
Gyno
are
Sphinx
distinct
and Andro Sphinx in
and
the monster
specific
manual are
things.
different, discrete
And
creatures.
Normally that bothers me, but I guess in lore and in the world of Sphinxes, there is a huge distinction in folklore between male and female Sphinxes. So
Yeah,
there's grounds for it.
It's interesting because while the Andro Sphinx and the Gyno Sphinx are different in the monster manual, it is different, I think, when you make something a playable race, because that was something that was specifically removed for 5e in previous editions. For
That
anyone
gender
who doesn't
doesn't
know,
do anything. Yeah.
it used to matter mechanically if you as a player, if your character was male or female, you were basically just weaker if you were female, and that was just how it was. And then they rightly realized, maybe that's not cool and fun for this like magical fantasy that people want to explore, to be punished for their gender.
Yeah.
So they took that out. And so I think I would personally just keep that as a rule across the board for player races.
I think
just don't make that a thing, but I totally get where this user is coming from.
And I think maybe you could just have a way of saying there are 2 different kinds of Sphinxes, but that the biological sex of the Sphinx isn't going to
chubby
impact.
and slippery.
You have the chubby and slippery. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
But you could say
Why?
like Gyno Sphinxes tend towards slippery, but not every Gyno Sphinx is slippery. Some are chubby. Like you could easily imply that, but you don't have to mechanically limit anyone.
And I
can
guess
have whatever you want.
The word gyno kind of makes it more female, but
little
maybe
obvious.
you just call it something else. Like you it's clear that when I don't know why, but I keep vocal frying a lot this episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're really kind of, it's like you're belching in slow motion.
She's a zombie.
Yeah, you're hurting all of
but
us.
you
Is that Undead Grover? Is he back?
No, he's banned from the tavern. I made sure.
No, I don't see him. He's not here.
The wards,
I cast.
the wards are secure.
I cast detect creature. He's not here. Okay, we're good. Fine. Nope.
No?
That's not him.
No,
That's Bean doing a voice. It's not him.
I am outside
No,
the window.
No.
shoo, be gone. No, we will cast
Protection
you
from
out.
good and evil.
We will cast you out again.
There we go. Oh,
Thank
that's
you.
better.
Gross.
I don't know why I didn't say anything that whole time.
All right.
You were still stretching.
So,
the throat out.
To get back down to the nitty gritty, so to speak. So, size Sphinxes are a medium-sized creature. However, excuse me,
nice.
because they are quadrupedal, they are 2 to 3 feet tall, but 6 feet long.
Okay.
So they are still medium-sized, but they are long ways instead of tall.
They are landscape.
They're always on a diagonal on the cube. The
Yes.
5 cube.
Somebody went into the Photoshop and changed it from portrait to landscape for this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Additionally, Sphinxes have a base walking speed of 30 feet. And in this version, female Sphinxes also have a flying speed of 30 feet. Apparently, in this version, let me double check. Does the male Sphinx not have wings?
I think,
in like the monster
I
manual.
think it does. No, it does.
but I think
So I don't know why there would be that distinction.
I think in most lore,
Yeah, the Andro Sphinx in the monster manual can fly, but yeah, if this person is taking inspiration from a different line than just directly bringing them from the monster manual into being a player race, then they're probably doing that based off of other inspiration.
yeah, they could be pulling from. Oh, in one legend, this Sphinx could fly and it was a woman, and in another legend, the Sphinx didn't fly and it was a man.
So,
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
this
sure.
also broaches the subject of the dangers of having a player race that just at level 1 has a base flying speed, and then it brings up even more of the conversation we were just having about the difference between the genders. Is that's a big boost to the female Sphinx. So does the male Sphinx have something that compensates for that, or
I don't.
do
there
they
isn't
just
anything
are they just
obvious.
the same thing, but they have slightly different stats and
Well,
they can't fly?
They are like, people take them a little bit more seriously, and
They
like
can, yeah, they
get
can get
paid
car
more.
loans easier.
They get paid more.
yeah, like they if they're buying a used car, they don't generally have to pay as much.
Man, this is our darkest episode. Holy cow!
Yes.
Like, wow, guys.
I don't know. Did we?
Yeesh.
If we already touched on this and I missed it or something, but in the paragraph where it says that females tend to be more cunning and clever than males, and male sphinxes tend to be stronger and more stoic.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Which
we
is
already
like
talk about that. It's like, again, it's like for a monster, cool. For a player race, personally not a fan.
I
yeah.
also don't even think you need to say it for a monster. I mean, to me as a DM,
Stop
Stop!
it.
no!
Stop! Just stop
Why?
doing it.
I noticed that I was doing it, and then I just rolled with it. But for me as a DM, I prefer to be able to kind of give all of my different monsters, if they are more sentient, like a sphinx is such a highly sentient creature, so it's
So it should
almost
just have its own personality.
it's almost insulting to be like they
All of them think like this.
yeah, not to
Yeah,
be
yeah.
like grung or whatever are like, yeah, they just are kind of little blood boys.
That's racist to Grunk, but continue.
But they're not as intelligent generally.
Yeah.
And so to say they tend to kind of behave this way because they're a little bit more
Well, you can say a society is a certain way, but
Yeah.
that's different than
But to
these
say an
individuals are.
individual will behave in any
yeah,
certain
Mhm.
way
and I
is
guess
impossible.
I guess that's what I'm trying to say. But especially something as sentient as a sphinx, every one that you meet is going to have a completely different personality.
Yeah, I think there's also an interesting point to bring up about sometimes, and it's not this way in the current monster manual, but sometimes sphinxes are referred to as like the sphinx, like
Yeah.
the only sphinx. There's not.
There's one in the world.
They don't procreate. There's not more of them. There's one or two. There's a boy and a girl one, and that's all of the sphinxes that exist.
and they've never met, so there aren't any more.
No, I'm saying like they can't. Like they're just a
No, I
magical.
know, I know.
They're not a being. They don't
Right.
function like the rest of us. They are a magical.
Which
Yeah.
obviously,
creation.
if you're making them a player race, you're
Yeah.
stepping away from
If
that.
you're making a play race, you're going to work more into like, well, there has to
Sure.
be a culture, and you have to have a family and stuff like that. Yeah.
Totally.
Well, what if the Sphinx's parents were killed in a bandit raid?
Oh, interesting.
And that's
Oh,
why there
how
aren't any
unique.
other Sphinxes.
Part of
Do they like to steal stuff?
part of being this race is there is a backstory that is written for you, and all of your family is dead,
No.
and you are the only
Boo.
sphinx.
You have to. I think I might be. I mean, we haven't even finished the Sphinx, so we need to finish the Sphinx first. But I think I might be like a way to address the immediate problems that come up with like, is this just a Sphinx? But why isn't it just like a Sphinx? Calling this like a demi-Sphinx or something like that.
That would
Sphinx
be-
ancestry.
Yeah.
Calling this like
Sphinx-born.
a slightly altered form of a Sphinx would be.
Sphinx-born rolls off the tongue, but in the wrong way.
Ah, yes, it is me, the Baron von Sphinxborn.
Oh.
I have-
Sphinx bun.
I have come to steal your cheese.
Yeah, don't.
Okay,
steal my
answer
character
me
ideas,
these
okay?
riddles 3. Okay,
Okay,
so
so-
next ability of relevance is claws. Your unarmed strikes with your front claws deal 1d8 slashing
Oh.
damage.
Are we just skipping that they live to be 900 years old?
Yeah,
We're
whatever.
skipping
They're
that?
long lived.
Okay.
Okay, elves are allowed.
Yeah,
I guess
elves
so.
elves live to be 700 plus. It's not that big of a difference.
Yeah, it's
Fair
fine.
enough.
But that is something of
Claws,
note.
got it.
These are very old, so there should be thousands of them, kind of a thing. But so it deals 1d8 slashing damage, and they are treated as a finesse weapon. So that's first of all,
Oh,
that's I believe unprecedented in
yeah.
a player race.
So
Is
you
that
can
your
get
base
sneak
weapon?
attack with your claws?
So yeah, you could get sneak attack with your claws, which I suppose on a fundamental like
I
reality
guess like
way
makes
makes sense.
Yeah.
But
I guess.
Lion's hide.
Like we talked about, like there isn't precedent for that. Literally every other natural weapon that you can be granted as a player race always relies on strength, which was what I
Yeah.
was thinking they might have been going for, where it's like, oh, if you're the male Sphinx, you are more proficient in your natural slashing weapons, but the
But
female
no.
Sphinxes
Yeah.
get to fly. But now with the way it's worded like this, it's like, no, they're being a female Sphinx is just better.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's interesting. I mean, the idea of a cat creature getting sneak attack does sort of feel like
yeah.
Yeah.
the,
It's sort of-
the nature doc of a lioness
It
on the
does sort of
prowl.
make you wonder why tabaxi don't have finesse with their claws. I guess maybe it would just be too
Because
good to
it would
get
just be too good. Additionally,
Yeah.
this is a 1d8 natural weapon.
Yeah.
That is,
Yeah.
I believe, also unprecedented. So not only do these creatures have a base flying speed, they have one of the most powerful natural weapons available to them.
Is
And we
that
haven't even
because
gotten
it's
to the
weird
rest
to
of their-
picture one of them holding a sword?
Well,
Is
that's
that yeah? Can they not wield weapons?
so.
Is
I
that the
guess
question?
they gotta
it's
walk on all
time. Yeah, I
fours.
guess it's time to talk about that. I didn't see anywhere where it says that they can't wear equipment or wield weapons. But as you
Yeah,
see
it
in the
doesn't
art
address it.
that has been provided, and nowhere does it say that they have opposable thumbs.
It also they are very four-legged. For
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
most part, animals like lions and I mean horses are even more so, but it's very difficult for them to like use three legs. If you are like
Lions can't
grasp,
like
yeah.
walk like that.
yeah, and imagine like what would you do? Like you're running and it's like clunk clunk as the sword hits the ground.
I wonder
So-
if it's giving them a better natural weapon in the assumption that you're not going to use other weapons.
Mhm.
Well, if they were going to do that, they'd have to mention that mechanically.
yeah.
Yeah, I
And
know, but they
so,
may,
yeah.
but that they may have been thinking that in
For sure,
creating
for
this
sure.
for themselves.
Yeah, formatting wise, yeah, that is something to pay attention to. Where it's just like, is the reason that they're getting all this stuff is because they can't wear boots, they can't hold weapons, they can't wear a shield. Their armor is like
Yeah.
5 times more expensive because it's technically barding. You know, like
Yeah.
My
yikes.
guess is that that's the unspoken assumption.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the intended rules as intended.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now that we've gotten past the physical, let us go.
Now that we've shredded this player race to
physical.
pieces, let's talk about some of the stuff that's actually pretty interesting
So-
about this. I think is like the really cool stuff.
So yeah, here we get to unscrutable, or inscrutable, more accurately. You are immune to any
Descrutable.
dunscrutable. You are
Executable.
you. You are you are immune to any effect that would sense your emotions or read your thoughts, and wisdom insight checks made to ascertain your intentions or sincerity have disadvantage.
Yeah, that's coming from, I think, there's a Sphinx ability that's very similar. To
Yeah, they
It
have the inscrutable ability where that effect is
Yeah.
present on them.
It reminds me of elves, like not being as easily charmed and being like immune to
Sort
sleep.
of.
Oh,
Yeah.
we haven't
Whereas-
even got there yet. They
Yeah, no.
also
Oh,
have
okay.
that.
Oh.
Yeah, skipping ahead a little bit. They have unassailable mind. You have resistance to psychic damage and are immune to charmed and the frightened condition. So not just advantage, they cannot be frightened, they cannot be charmed, their minds cannot be read, and anyone trying to insight check them has disadvantage. And
Yeesh.
with keen insight, you have advantage on perception checks that rely on sight. This is
They got
normally
good eyes.
This is normally an ability, I believe, that's just preserved for monster stat blocks. Normally, if a player race were to be given something like keen sight, it would just be you're automatically proficient in perception instead of giving you advantage on that check. Because there's so many other
Yeah.
things that a player can do and in fact would want to do that would give them advantage on skill checks. Whereas giving them a bonus to their skills is more of a standard that will actually be more helpful down the road, as opposed, because, like for instance, having something inherently having advantage on stealth checks isn't as helpful as being what's the word I'm looking for? It just escaped my mind.
Proficient?
Yeah. Stop it.
quit it.
Stop
Bean,
doing it.
Whenever you're gonna do that, don't.
So like for instance, giving something advantage on stealth checks just in general isn't as beneficial as giving them proficiency in stealth, because what if they found a cloak of elvenkind and then it's like, oh, I already have this ability. That's not useful.
Yeah.
So that's
Fair
just a little more templating. But yeah, this is a
Yeah.
very weird, powerful
it's really
race.
weird. I think personally, and this is just like a completely separate from anything that the document implies itself, I think that this would be much better suited for creating Sphinx NPCs.
Yes.
Sure.
Like not a Sphinx monster in the full Sphinx, but like a demi-Sphinx or like a Sphinx-born
Right.
NPC.
I mean, it would be crazy to just wander. You're like in a weird desert town. You go into the shop, and a Sphinx like runs the shop.
Just like a little
Yeah.
medium-sized Sphinx.
Yep.
And while you're talking about that, like I love this idea of like having Sphinx NPCs and like bringing the Sphinx race to be a more common thing in like an actual race as opposed to these inscrutable extraplanar beings. While at the same time, I think because of the implied limitations of their form, this just doesn't even if you can break it down to the numbers, which like we've talked about, this is already like way more powerful than I think it should be.
Yeah.
yeah.
But just the idea of the Sphinx probably shouldn't be able to be a player race.
That it is this unfortunate thing where there are just certain creatures where you can't go to your DM and be like, I want to be a kraken.
I
Like,
want to be a dragon. Yeah.
Yeah, that and now,
Yeah.
but dragonborn are a thing. But the thing is, if you're like, no, I wanted to be a dragonborn doesn't generally cut
Mhm.
that same feeling. Now, that being said, D&D to me is this wonderful place where everyone can be kind of like all these cool things, and maybe the Sphinx isn't meant to be that Lego piece that you can plug into your regular campaign, but maybe it is meant to
Yeah.
be something where you're like, we're playing a one shot, or we're playing something where it's just anyone can kind of just be whatever the heck they want to be.
We're
And
all OP.
If you or
Yeah.
if you were
balancing
doing
for it.
if you were doing like a monstrous races one shot,
Totally.
one of you is a Sphinx and one of you
Is a dragon.
One of you is a
one of you
Gorgon,
is like a
yeah.
baby dragon or something.
A
Yeah.
modified dragon.
one of you
yeah.
is a demigorgon.
One of you is aware to Rask.
Yeah, of course. One of you is a half angel, half devil, were angel.
Ooh, woo.
It's angel dragons.
Your angle
thank you.
and your devil.
Angel dragon. That's what I was thinking. The angel dragons, the draconic angels
Yeah.
with the retractable wings.
But I mean,
That was
Remember them?
insanity. That was
Yeah.
pure
Yeah,
insanity.
remember how they could perfectly blend in with normal society, and it's like that's the thing that got me the maddest.
I mean,
Yeah.
compared
That was just the perfect angle and your devil. Like it was
Yeah.
so good.
compared to that, this is maybe not as broken. This is a really cool creation. I love the art. I love the idea of getting to play something that is so exotic and so cool. And yeah, probably in your normal campaign this wouldn't work, but maybe for an
Yeah, it's super
NPC,
broken.
Mhm.
or maybe for an NPC,
Yeah.
or maybe something else, or just finding a way like a what do we say, like a demi-sphinx or a sphinx-born? Yeah.
Yeah.
Some more mini version of this could be very, very cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Thanks for bringing that, Onog. Let's move on to what I've brought this week. I have brought from user Dieselator Games. Dieselator, like an alligator that runs
One
on
who
diesel.
dieselates.
Dieselator. Yeah.
That's
from,
just what Vin Diesel's friends call him. I see you're
Oh,
not
the
in the friend
Dieselator.
group.
Oh, my dude.
I see you're not in the group chat. We call
Yeah.
him the Dieselator.
Okay, yeah. Yo, can you invite me to that?
No.
Okay. From r/D&D Homebrew. And this is Dagger Mastery Feats, needs balance. Exclamation point.
So we already have some framework to work
Right
with.
off the bat.
I love it.
I mean, Dieselator is very, very cool. And they expressed much more of a just desire for an idea and much less a proficiency at perfectly balanced homebrews.
This has been refined in the minds of my imagination.
Yeah. But I wanted to use this as a soapbox to talk about weapons in D&D 5th edition are boring. What's the difference between a scimitar and
Hey,
another sword?
I do
Nothing.
my
None of it
best.
matters. It's
But-
Some of us
boring.
have to use those weapons every turn,
But
and that's our
They're
only job.
boring.
But scimitars are the weapons that bandits use so that when you loot them, you get a weapon you're not proficient with.
That's
Yeah.
actually, I
Yeah,
think
thank
that's
you.
actually specifically why they have scimitars.
so that you don't immediately loot 100 swords off of them that you can use. Yeah, I think so. But what I'm trying to say is that at first level, your longsword is a longsword, and by 10th level, it's the same longsword. And though
Yeah.
you may have abilities outside of your longsword that make you better, you'd think you'd be better at having a longsword, you know,
Yeah.
as opposed to like being equally good at also a trident. You'd think you'd be better with a longsword by this point than you are with a trident.
When you
So
walk
the
into the
idea-
Jedi Temple, the younglings should be worse at using lightsabers than the masters.
Than
The Jedi Masters.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah. I thought you were going to mention something about Master Anakin, what should we do? But I'm glad we made it through without that reference.
except for the reference that you.
No,
That
no, that doesn't count. Let's move on. Dagger Mastery feats. So, yeah, the goal, the explicitly stated goal in this was as you level up, you can take these and start adding more to your toolbox and say, well, as I've been training with daggers, I've gotten so good, I've learned to do this special thing with them. And there's some cool ones. I don't need to talk about all of them. I wanted to talk about two of them
I
specifically
like these ideas.
that I think are really cool. The first one was dagger training defense. Your mastery of daggers is unmatched. You've learned to react with great finesse. You may make 2 reactions during a turn if both are used to block attacks.
Oh, cool.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, which isn't a thing, but it's okay.
Yeah.
When attacked, you may use a reaction to add half your proficiency bonus to your AC, rounded down. I think
Okay.
that's what they mean by
Block
blocking.
attack.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
that's what they mean.
Mm-hmm.
If you block 2 attacks from a single enemy with those reactions, you may take an attack of opportunity with disadvantage. Guys, this is so weird and I love
That's
it.
so
This is the
specific.
strangest sentence.
That
It
is
hurts me.
that
And
is,
it
but
paints a
that's the
great
thing. Yeah,
picture.
it's raw
Yeah, it's-
flavor.
Oh, yeah.
It's like pure flavor right there.
I'm picturing like the duel between Wesley and Inigo Montoya of just these like, I'm so
They're
good
both
with a
the
sword.
best at it.
That they
Yeah.
parry every move.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Wording police.
What?
Wording police. Technically, you can just on if you block the first, if you don't even have to block the first attack. If they go to make a second attack on you, you can use your reaction again to block attacks.
Yep.
And then that adds to your AC even further because there's no time limit on the AC. I'm assuming it's for the round.
Oh,
and
with the
there's
AC
no
stat?
there's no
Yeah.
limit
Yeah.
that it doesn't stack, so you can just go boop, 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 boop.
Oh no, this needs no
You-
balance. I don't know why you're
No,
in these
I'm just
groups.
saying
You
that
can see
actually
why it said needs balance.
that actually got me like really excited because it's like aha.
Onog started like jittering. Like,
It's like,
"Oh,
yeah, you
guys,
can
I
just
don't know if
block."
you've noticed."
I mean, I guess it is 1 per dagger if you're like dual wielding
Mhm.
daggers or something.
yeah.
That'd be cool.
The other one I wanted to talk about up front, we could go through all of them if we want to, but was the striking. Dagger training striking. Your mastery of daggers is unmatched, greatly increasing the power of your strikes. While wielding daggers, increase your crit range +1. So I think what they mean is you can crit on 19s
Crit on
and
a
20s.
19, yeah.
But if you already have that ability, they're
Then-
saying you get an
You
extra
get
even
18,
more.
19, and 20.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is probably a little left over from 3rd edition.
Yeah.
Because they had like crit range, quote unquote, and you had abilities that increased your crit range. That actually was my
So maybe-
original build of Onog. Was he was all about like critical hit fishing.
Crit
It had
fishing, yeah.
had like a weapon that had an increased crit range. I took all the feats that increased your crit range and things like that, and it was just all about doing that. And so this
Well, so
seems to
maybe
be
this-
along those lines.
I hadn't thought about it,
phrasing-wise.
but there could be some like the formatting issues here are caused from they might be trying to format it for like their memory of 3rd edition or
Yeah.
something like that. So that may just be some of the stuff that we're not.
Oh, yeah.
The block, maybe is there a block reaction in 3rd edition? Like maybe there was. I don't remember.
Yeah, because we would seem pretty dumb if we were like, that's not even real.
I know
Yeah.
block
I don't-
is
It might be.
I think in like older games like Dragon Quest and stuff, there was ways to like block and parry people, but I don't know if
Mm.
they're
There
I'm not sure.
Is that
if
Anyway.
if you can think of something, it happened in 3.5. Like that.
Fair enough. So let's move on. So daggers also now deal 2d4 damage.
Oof.
Just every dagger does for you now. And then Vital Strike. Before you make an attack with a dagger, you can choose to take a -2 penalty to the attack roll. If the attack hits, you add another 1d8 to the attack's damage.
So you get a little.
There's no limit on how
sharpshooter.
many times you can do that if you want.
Ooh.
You could do it on every attack.
Well, I'm assuming this is only per attack, though. The way it's phrased. I think.
Oh yeah, no. I'm saying one per attack.
Yeah.
But you could do it every attack.
But yeah, that's very Great Weapon Master, sharpshooter, where it's just you can sacrifice accuracy for damage.
You know, so looking at this as a whole,
Sure.
at what the creator was sort of saying their intent was, or what you were extrapolating that their
Yeah,
intent was, about like weapons being boring. What this makes me think of in a positive way is Skyrim leveling up, where it's separate.
You level up one-handed, and then
Well,
your one-handed gets better and better.
yeah,
Yeah,
but
you're only better at
specifically-
things you actively work towards.
Yeah.
But specifically also you increase your health, magicka, or your stamina, and you choose a feat. You know, you get a perk point.
Right.
And I think that maybe in my like D&D Mercy edition, like if I were just going from scratch and making it exactly how I wanted, I think that I would want to balance leveling up so that increasing your skills, like adding skill points and choosing feats were not mutually exclusive. And
But maybe you got them less often.
well, but yeah,
That's-
you'd have to balance
that's
it.
just 3.5.
That's just
though, right?
Oh, is
3.5.
it?
That's
Yeah,
how it
that's
works.
just 3.5.
Because the thing is, feats make a character way more interesting,
Yeah.
and if you added a ton more that felt like this, that
problem
felt like
is,
really
though-
specific perk points,
Yeah.
that'd be way more interesting.
The problem is though that in 3.5 everything was a feat, and there were like hundreds of them.
and that
Yeah.
it gets
And
too
at a
much
certain
too
point,
fast.
it is just everyone has such a corner case. That's why I
Mm.
liked this as a general idea of like, there are, let's say, I think it would be cooler to do like, there are 3 levels of the dagger mastery feat, but that's the only, like, we don't need to make infinite dagger feats for all the
No.
special dagger attacks. But if you want to train in daggers, like every weapon could have its own like 1, 2, or 3 level like feat that it's like,
Uh-huh.
if you
Mhm.
somehow level the feat up, you're getting this bonus to training in that one specific thing. It doesn't punish you. Like you're still just as good with a longsword as you
Mhm.
always were, but you're going to purposefully now like try not to use longswords and try to use daggers, because not only is it more flavorful for your character, it will be like mechanically beneficial to
Sure.
you. Whereas right now, if you're a level whatever fighter, any physical weapon you pick up is equally good.
One of the reasons I usually play a magic user. And one of the main reasons for that is because I feel like without lots of special abilities or feats, I think using weapons is kind of boring.
That's what I was
Hey,
saying.
hey.
Yeah,
earlier.
like I agree
I'm still
with
here.
you.
I can hear you.
But yeah, I think you kind of have to take feats to make it interesting, or be a battle master, which is inherently
Yeah, I
really
was gonna say,
interesting,
like, battle masters kind of have maneuvers and stuff they can do.
but they're full
Yeah.
of special abilities.
Yeah.
And yeah, because just saying I attack every turn is really boring.
Not for everyone though. Maybe for
But for me, I'm saying
but-
for
Yeah.
me,
yeah,
yeah, that's why
for
I
you,
choose to
but
play.
a lot of people do want that simplicity.
I mean,
A
that's
lot of people do just
ultimately
they
why,
enjoy the
like-
direct mechanic.
yeah, that's ultimately why the champion fighter exists. So there's like only like 1 or 2 extra abilities outside of combat that you even have.
And then it's just
And
all
those
I
are
know
just-
is kill.
Yeah.
Yeah, all I know is that I
Well, yeah.
must kill and that I'm better at it than anyone else.
Yeah, that's the thing. But for like D&D Mercy Edition,
Yeah.
like it's just not my jam.
When is that hitting DM's Guild, by the way?
Oh, that's gonna be in
Is it
2055.
pay what
No,
you want?
it's very-
or-
It's very interesting. Because yeah, like you guys, like we talked about before, what you're kind of looking for is actually a little bit more in 3.5. It's also
yeah.
they have sort of
Careful
dabbled with this
Yeah, yeah,
idea in both ways that you guys kind of talked about it, both in like a feat that upgrades a feat that you already have, and
Mhm.
specialized weapon feats in Unearthed Arcana, specifically with like upgrading feats via the dragon marks from Eberron.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Like that's like you'd have to pick, like the way they have it set up, you have to pick a special like sub race that has the dragon mark, and then once you level up to a certain point, you can then start taking feats that increase the potency of your dragon mark. And additionally,
Okay.
like early on Earth Arcana, they had things like the fell-handed or something. Like if you are wielding a mace or a hammer, you gain special abilities. Like one of them is like if you roll a certain if you're rolling with advantage, you ignore your opponent's shield if they are wielding one. You know, things like very corner case things like that. And they haven't really followed up on that one particular Unearthed Arcana yet. But I think that, you know, down the line when we inevitably get more specialized feats, that's going to be probably where they're going to be looking.
I do think that there was a gut reaction from Wizards of the Coast after 3.5 and after 4th edition being like, you know, maybe we're overdoing it on the feats, huh? And then they purposefully pulled back for 5th edition to be like, look, feats are completely optional. You can play without them. You don't even worry about it. There's only a few. They're not like that crazy. Don't worry. Like there are some that are very good, but for a lot of players, we're going to simplify the heck out of this because that is a big part of the appeal of 5th edition. But I love things that are approachable up front, but reward further and further depth. So why isn't there an expansion book of optional? If you want deep feat progression, that's what we're going to be doing now in like this book. But it's something no one ever has to play with.
Yeah.
Don't build it into every class in their like base in the player's handbook, or else they'll feel like they're missing them if they don't have them.
Well, like the Xanathar's expanded spell list. You
yeah, like
an
the
expanded
Xanathar's.
feat list.
Yeah, Xanathar's was great, adding a couple of things in there that are just like, these are new, but you never have to have them, or else you'll feel like, oh, I'm not even useful without that random expanded list spell.
Well, then you run into a power creep kind of a thing in the metagame, which is kind of a weird thing to say, especially after you were saying like it's optional, you don't need to do it. But if certain players like know that they exist, they are going to resist they're going to seek that out. Like part of the problem,
those Adventurer Leagues players are going to need it.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing, is they're going to be like I love storytelling, but I also like optimizing my character in the best way possible.
I will admit that there are many times when I go to make a character that Onog has trouble not saying like, no, don't make your character like that.
I wouldn't phrase it like that, but yes, like every once in a while, like
it physically hurts you to be inefficient.
It hurts. Yeah, it's like
we know.
why would I take this other feat when when there are these like three
just because
like
I
corner
want to,
cases that
and it's just
would be more
fun.
beneficial for the play style that I have.
Here we go. But this is a perfect market we've got where Bean is definitely overall. I mean, Bean, you are into mechanics, but you're definitely somebody who's into D&D.
Oh no, don't
for the flavor and story.
Don't say
a lot.
that I'm into mechanics.
Don't put her in the same boat as me.
I'm into mechanics in that I understand that they happen, and I'm not dumb enough to be like, I'll just give my character an 8 in Constitution. But
sure.
It used to be that when Onog would run campaigns, I would pretty much never make a character that had below a 14 Constitution. In fact, there were times when you did not allow people to have below a 14 in Constitution.
because you just die.
And now
you die so fast.
I have characters that I'm playing now that have like a 10 in Constitution.
I have since eased up, but I still firmly believe it should have at least a positive score. I don't mind as much because I'm just there to play and have fun, and I don't care about the mechanics.
You're there for the kooky character ideas.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Is like
for however short they last,
example.
you're there for those kooky characters.
I mean, Onog was trying. Onog was trying to show me how to play Magic the Gathering and make a deck for me, so he allowed me to go through all of his cards, and I was like, I kind of like this flavor, like I like these mechanics. And then he was like, all right, here's all the cards that work with that. Tell me the ones that you like. And I made a pile of yeses and I made a pile of nos. And he was like, all right, why didn't you like these? And most of them I said, oh, they had way too much text on them, and I just didn't want to read that much. Or
I get it. I totally get it.
Or it said something like, do this and then shuffle your library. And I was like, I hate shuffling my library. I do not want to shuffle my library for any reason. And he's like,
the new meta is non-shuffling because I'm lazy.
Yes. And then he's like, but Onog has entire decks where the point is you get this card and then you use that card to go through your library and find this card. And he's shuffling his deck like multiple times a turn.
Like 3 times a turn.
And
It's I have a lot of fun.
I could not play that way. Oh my gosh. I can't stand it.
And so what I'm trying to say here is that we've got a great example, like even on this podcast, of a variety of the types of people
got a
who
spectrum.
are into D&D. And I wish there was a system that allowed for, because even people who aren't into mechanics, if you start saying something like the flavor of you could over time become the best like katana wielder in the game.
That's awesome.
Like who doesn't
get,
want to
like,
be
people,
that? Yeah.
People notice immediately. They're like, ooh, all right, that sounds cool. But currently there's no way, like your weapons just don't matter. Picking one over another, slashing damage over bludgeoning damage, it doesn't actually really change anything. And so I think there is a gap there that this isn't the answer, because these are like kind of bad and weird, but like also very fun. But there's an answer somewhere that I want to find. I want to put out like a wanted notice, dead or alive, like a way to make weapon progression interesting in Dungeons and Dragons. Bring it to me.
Yeah.
I think that there's room for something like this in D&D. There's room somewhere for like weapon specializations to exist. This isn't it, Chief. But I think there's promise here in this idea.
It's a good idea. It's a good premise.
But with that, let's move on to
there's
our
a
final
great number of cool ideas in this, and like it said, needs balancing.
Definitely.
Well,
Yeah, definitely.
definitely.
Very self-aware.
Yeah.
With that, let's move on to our final thing this week, being with what you've brought.
Yeah, so I have brought a monster.
No.
So, back in the day, when it was before we even knew Onog, Thomas, Mercy, and myself would sit around and we would watch movies. I guess we can say that. We would watch movies, and some of our favorite movies were this just terrible sci-fi movies. We loved Sharktopus, especially.
I just saw what it is.
Mercy just at this exact moment has opened up the file.
Oh no.
And so,
Turned to me aghast.
in the spirit of that, I would like to share with you the Tunacorn.
Thanks, I hate it.
Thanks, I love it. And we're going to start off with the description at the bottom.
This is I
Oh,
do
yeah.
need to say, before anyone else says anything, I'm just getting in on this right now. Tunacorn, the chicken of the land. We can move on.
All right.
Excellent. Who made this? This picture is from Reddit. I think, like you guys said, it might be on D&D Beyond as well. But this post that we got it from is from Reddit, and it was posted by Dr. Leviathan, which is a great name. Good job. I don't know if Dr. Leviathan is actually the creator, but he posted it. Or
I
she.
think
Or
it's
she.
Dr. Levi Athan.
Oh, you're correct.
Ooh, that'd be a good, really.
No,
really
it
cheap-
wouldn't.
That'd
No,
be,
it
you didn't let me finish. You didn't let me finish.
I'm Dr. Acula.
No, but that's the thing. Is like that'd be a really good like B horror movie reveal that like
Oh yeah.
he was the evil monster all along.
You never hear it, but they either call him Dr. Athon or Levi, and you're just, and then one day you're
That's
like,
so good.
okay. So, thank you to whoever he, she, they, Dr. Leviathan is for posting this. Description. Created in a lab, any attempts to create a land-sea mount with magical abilities have been less than ideal. Splicing a unicorn with a tuna fish has resulted in an unusual abomination. Oh, I should read that correctly. Created in a lab. Any
No,
atte-
it's okay. You can just keep going.
While this creature has inherited some of the unicorn's magical abilities, it seems incapable of using them to any effect.
Oh my gosh.
This creature's true intelligence has yet to be determined.
It has an intelligence score, but I do wish it was a question.
I wish it was a question as well.
It's like, does it? I
It's
don't know.
enough to be alive, we think. Has yet to be determined. It seems to act at random, using its abilities without reason or provocation. Its celestial nature is at direct odds with its fish-like intelligence. At times, it is prone to accidentally help those that it wishes to harm, or vice versa. It has a unique taste when smoked.
Oh.
Yeah. If you can just look into the eyes of the art here, you can see the lack of, like, you can see the chaotic energy within it.
There is
Not
no
even the
reason there.
dead fisheye energy. But notice, it still has, like, unicorn prance legs. Like,
Yeah,
it's a perfect,
beautiful.
it is a perfect depiction of this creature's, like, just nonsensical fishiness, yet its majestic unicorn nature.
I need this to be like a dungeon boss.
Yeah. I'm going to put up the stats, like the hit points and strength decks and stuff, up on the screen right now for everybody.
Yeah, that's
so
not...
we can kind of blow through those numbers, but we do need to talk about the rest of
Not as important.
Because it's insane.
It does speak some languages. Aquan, Celestial, Elvish, and Telepathy. I don't know if I would have given it any languages, because I just like the idea that it is like...
It's too dumb.
It does.
I mean, it only has 5 intelligence, so maybe the implication is it understands those languages. So it understands telepathy.
It can't communicate. Or you do try to...
I wish it only had telepathy.
You try to communicate with it telepathy, and you just hear...
it just enters your mind.
You just hear it going...
Because it translates into your language.
What am I?
Kill me!
Why am I?
Okay, let's read some of the abilities here.
Amphibious. The Tunacorn can breathe air and water. It can charge. It has a divine presence, so fiends don't like it. It's got magical resistance. And the Tunacorn's weapons attacks are magical. Also, this boy is slippery.
No!
Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah.
Please have a penguin show up and applaud as that happens in the graphics.
Okay, don't give me animation to do, please.
Hey.
I have much to get done already.
Just a happy little
You're
penguin.
just the writer. You don't tell the director or the DP what to do.
Okay, slippery. The Tunacorn has advantage on ability checks and saving throws made to escape or resist a grapple. He's a slippery boy. He's a fish boy. All right.
I like the implication that it's covered in slime.
Yep.
Like fish
Well,
slime.
also just like it flops, like those fail videos of people holding really big fish, and then
when they
like
flop super fast.
Why would they hold
When
a
it's
scabbard?
walking, is its body also like flopping side to side?
Yeah.
Oh no!
I hate it.
And the little fins are doing like the little
Yeah.
It can't use them because it's not in the water,
wanna
but they're
throw
flapping
up.
anyway.
I would
so
like to
gross.
add that that it has a special magical dash action, and it just uses its tail to like whip the air and run faster. It doesn't actually have that, but I would like to add it. Okay.
Along the lines of the amphibious ability, I like the idea that it can breathe air or water, but it does always sound uncomfortable doing either.
Yeah.
It's just like I can't. What is kill me?
No.
I would also like to
okay.
add that it forgets which it's supposed to be breathing, so every now and then it like starts choking and it's like, oh.
And you're like, Tunacorn, you're in the air. Tunacorn's like,
Okay, so it's got a
thank you.
multi-attack, it's got a hoof weapon attack, it's got a horn weapon attack, and it also has a healing touch once per day.
Oh, that's beautiful.
The Tunacorn
That's
touches
a-
another
yeah.
creature with its horn, and the target magically regains 11 hit points. In addition,
so funny.
the touch removes all disease and neutralizes all poisons afflicting the target. Pretty standard unicorn and celestial type abilities. I would
standard
love
tuna stuff.
pretty standard. Now, but speaking of tuna stuff, I would love for it to have a slap attack. And that it like
With the
slaps
tail,
you with
yeah.
its tail, but also that there's just a danger that if you are like in the vicinity of the Tunacorn, that you just might get slapped, no matter who
Yeah.
you are. I would love
It's
to
just a
add that.
random chance.
Yeah, there's there's almost an area effect that if you're within 5 feet of the Tunacorn,
You have to make a dex.
you got to make a dex saving throw or get slapped by the tail. Okay,
Very good.
legendary actions.
It has legendary
Of
action.
course.
3 legendary actions, blah, blah, blah. Hooves.
That it chooses to do at random.
The Tunacorn makes 1 attack with its hooves. Shimmering Shield. Tunacorn creates a shimmering magical field around itself, and everyone inside gets +2 to AC. Water Jet. Costs 2 actions. Tunacorn magically shoots water in a 60-foot line that is 5 feet wide. Each creature in that line must make a DC 16 dexterity saving throw. On a failure, the target takes 21 bludgeoning damage, and if
Jeez.
is huge or smaller, is pushed up to 20 feet away from the Tunacorn and knocked prone. On a success, the target takes half the bludgeoning damage, but is neither pushed nor knocked prone. Love it.
Yeah, the Hydra Cannon ability.
I gotta
Does
say,
it shoot out of its horn?
Absolutely.
I like to think it's its
not.
mouth.
Oh, okay.
It
It's its
definitely
mouth.
spews
It's
forth
gotta
from
just
every
kind of
orifice.
just be like,
Yeah, definitely.
It just,
You
the
gotta-
most
I feel
undignified way possible.
the wargle garble.
The only and as if it cannot control and did
Yeah.
not predict it.
It's just
Yeah.
vomiting.
The
It's
only
not trying
like
to do
right
this.
way to do this as a DM, if you brought this in your game and you had someone who was like, "This is my mount. I'm a paladin. This is my mount now," is you would just have to make them constantly like going back and forth of if it's worth keeping around. Like you make it magically heal them when they most need it, but then also in the middle of a fight, it just casts like its shimmering shield around all the bad guys and they all get +2 to their AC. And then you're like, oh, we gotta get rid of this. But then it barfs water on them. So you're like, I don't know.
See, I would
The
love
original post. The creator did say that they were the DM. They had made this as a trick gift for their party. They were like, they've been begging me for a mount, so I guess I'll give them one.
I would love it to have even more chaotic abilities of just like like Mercy said, it either hurts or helps a ton, and almost have like a wild magic kind of table where just as the
Oh, what?
DM
Bean wants me to have wild magic? Who could have guessed?
shocker. Freaking love wild magic. It's my
It's
favorite.
Bean's favorite mechanic.
But not just wild magic. I'm just talking about like more randomization can
Yeah. Yeah.
happen.
Like, yeah, one
You
of the
could
things.
get the wild barbarian, the wild magic barbarian.
Give
Yeah.
it
Staple
wild
that in
magic
here.
barbarian. The thing I was
but also
expecting.
give it giant fists.
Yeah, the thing I was expecting when we read that description was that it was like sometimes the healing touch accidentally does that much necrotic damage instead, or you know.
Sometimes the healing touch makes it so you can only breathe water and not air.
Yeah, like I was expecting stuff like that, where this is obviously ridiculous and very fun, but like the stupidity or the accidental damage just comes from the role playing as opposed to any actual stats.
I
on
am
the
guessing
plot.
that
Yeah.
if
Well,
it
I
was
think that sometimes they mean that sometimes it does the water cannon at you.
Yeah.
I'm guessing
I think is the idea.
the original DM that made this probably had way more chaos and way more stuff going on. But then when they went to sit down to
I'm
like,
scared to play at their table, honestly.
yes, I would love that. But
They're a trickster god.
but probably when they went to sit down and make an actual freaking stat sheet for it, we're like, okay, how the hell do I do this? And have just sort of put the best of the kinds of things that they do. But I want more chaos. I want more things. I just
More abilities.
I love it. I love it so much. And I want it to have everything. I want it to have it all. I want it to be happy. I want it to be my friend.
I think it should, like, you can't tell with its intelligence is yet to be discovered, right? So I think it should just be a question mark, and most of the time you're like, this is a stupid fish, but every now and then it enters your mind and is like, my child, I have great wisdom for you. But then you look at its stupid face and you're like, how?
It's like the horse from Bravest Warriors. That's like
telekinetic
collapsed.
horse.
Trapped within this body.
Yeah, but then other times it acts so dumb. Like it does just heal the wrong people and like shoot water at you, and you're like, do you know anything? Like it forgets what it's breathing, but then it's so wise.
Yeah. I think that'd be great. I love it. I
This is
love it. It
incredible.
comes to you in a dream one night.
Anyway,
You might wonder why I shot our party member off the cliff with my water cannon. I'll be honest, I just hiccuped.
I don't know.
That's totally my bad.
There's no wider
That's on me.
cosmic purpose to that.
that one wasn't a big that wasn't a bigger thing. But I have portents, I promise.
Anyway, I absolutely love this. Please, more horrific and just plain old stupid creatures in D&D.
Just find
Big
any
old
two
fan.
things and
you.
just smash them together.
Yeah, so you know what? Maybe as a
we
side
could
quest.
do a real island of Dr. Throw or whatever.
Moreau.
Yeah. But as a
Moreau,
side
yeah.
quest for the 64 subscribers we have, if you want to see us combine two animals or two monsters in a
Ooh.
Sharktopus Tunacorn kind of way, maybe we could do that as a side quest.
Mhm.
Comment your favorite combination.
Yeah,
and we'll
let us-
do it.
let
If
us kn-
anyone gives us a
A gel-
suggestion, we'll do it.
A gelatinous sphinx, if you will.
Yes. Piranha
Okay, great,
content.
thank you. Fantastic. Good call to action, Bean. Yeah. Thank you so much for listening, travelers. If you liked this episode, comment below with your suggestion for what horror we should create on an upcoming side quest. what two D&D monsters should be mashed together, or real life animals, I suppose.
Yeah,
Or
whatever.
maybe an object and an animal. I don't know, a tea kettle and a porcupine.
Dude,
whatever you want.
If
Please
they-
do not actually mash these animals together. This is only in our minds. Thank you.
Oh yeah, very important.
that is a button
yeah,
that we have to push.
Yep. Before we end the episode, Bean, actually, I know you just gave us the final item that we were reviewing today, but could you give us a brief word from our sponsor before we wrap up?
Yes, of course. Our sponsor is bedrolls. You know, you technically need them and everyone carries them, but you forget to use them, and without them, you'll die at night. Bedrolls. Freaking use it, you stupid idiots.
Bedrolls, they are crafted with such precision and care. I love my bedroll. It showed up in a box, and
how did they
How did they fit that
do
bedroll
that
in that
size
box?
boss? Man, and it's such, you look at it and you're like, it's such
it was
a,
like a it was
it's
a
such a-
lunchbox.
it's such a gasper, you know? It's just one that makes you gasp.
You gasp as soon as you see it. Yeah, it is. Yeah, handcrafted bedrolls.
Yeah, and you can sleep on it for 100 years free.
And yeah,
That's
and
more
then
than
send
my
it back.
expected lifespan.
It's crafted by elves, so there's
Yeah,
like a
it's
very
an
different.
elven
yeah.
maker.
But
yeah.
The other thing, bedrolls are so huge. Like, everyone's just like, yeah, I got a bedroll.
You're a small creature, okay?
No, yeah, and my
They
bedroll
seem much larger to you.
is, I don't carry an Onog-sized bedroll. I carry a gnome-sized bedroll, which is big for me. And notice, Onog's bedroll is not the size of mine, okay?
It's the size of you.
Yeah, but I'm
That's
just
true.
saying, everyone acts like they're not that big a deal, but they are actually very large, and they take up a lot of space.
Very cumbersome.
Very cumbersome, and y'all, I'm just saying, y'all need to use your bedrolls or you're gonna freeze to death at night. Bedrolls.
Definitely.
They
Bedrolls.
sleep.
Thank you for
Thank
that.
you.
Bedrolls, they sleep you good.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you so much for listening, travelers. Give us a like and a subscribe. Unless you don't want to, then whatever. Comment below.
Then
I
don't.
guess. Who cares? What's the point of any of this anymore? Did you listen to most of this
We've
episode?
all
What are
entered
we
into
doing with our
madness.
What?
lives?
Why are you here listening to this?
Go home.
I'm
the
so
podcast is
sorry.
over.
The movie's over. Go home.
We're the only people left in the inn. Everyone is.
If you have a homebrew you want us to review, I don't know why you would, but if you want us to review it, tear it apart, call you bad at designing, and also laugh at you, send it to our email, thecopperfoxin@gmail.com, or on Twitter and Instagram at thecopperfoxin.
Yeah, give us a follow on those as
Yeah.
well.
And if you liked this video, this probably over an hour long at this point, maybe over an hour and a half long, share it with some friends. I'm sure you have a lot of friends who are casually interested in an hour and a half long D&D podcasts. Share it around and let them experience the Copper Foxin for themselves. And with that, we're going to wrap it up.
Yeah.
Keep on adventuring.
Booyah.
Bye.